Okay, hey boys and girls, we're going to be talking about multiplying decimals. Okay, I know y'all have been waiting for it. Y'all been bugging me about making a new video, so here it is. Multiplying decimals. So I'm only going to do a couple examples because I think this is super easy. If you thought adding and subtracting decimals was easy, then this is going to be a piece of cake. I'm going to go through the steps, and then I'm going to do a couple examples, and that's going to be the whole video. So the first thing that I want to talk about is when you're doing this, you put the numbers on top of one another. Okay, so when you're given a multiplication problem, if they're not already stacked, you go ahead and stack them. All right, the next thing is when you're putting them on top of one another, you line them up on the right, okay, on the right side of the numbers. The right side of both numbers line up together. All right, and then you would just multiply like any other number. Okay, just go ahead and multiply. Start with that bottom right number and multiply by each number in the top. Put your number below it, and then start with the next number if there's one, and then multiply by everything on the top, and so forth. Okay. Then, once you're done multiplying, you count the decimal places in both factors, or all the factors. Okay. And you add them together, and then you put the total number of decimal places from both your factors into your answer. Okay. And like I said, I'm going to do an example right now. So our first number is 0.03 times 1.1. Alright, now the good thing about multiplication is that it is commutative, meaning I can change the order of the factors and I'll still get the same answer. Okay, a quick simple example of that is 3 times 5 is 15, and that means 5 times 3 is also 15. So I just took the 3 and the 5 and I switched them, and I got the same answer. Okay, so I want to put the 0.03 actually on bottom, even though it has more digits, more places in the number, but I only have the one number to multiply by, so I like that better than multiplying by the two ones. Okay, that's just my preference. You don't have to do that. You can put 0.03 on top and put 1.1 on the bottom and multiply, and you'll get the same answer. That's my point. Okay, so I'm going to put 1.1 on the top, and I'm going to multiply that by 0.03. Okay, so the first thing you might notice is that I did not line up the decimal. You don't have to, or you're not supposed to. Alright, I'm lining up on the right, just like you would any other number. Okay, now we can go ahead and multiply. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 1 is 3. Alright, and that's it. I don't have to do anything else with the zeros. You can if you want to, but it's not going to change your final answer. Okay, so the next step is that I count the number of decimal places in each one of my factors. So in the first factor, I have one decimal place. I started from the decimal and I counted all the way to the right. The second factor, I have 2 decimal places. Okay, so I add both of those numbers together. 1 plus 2 is 3. That tells me my answer has 3 decimal places. So I start at the right of my answer, all the way over here, right here, and I count 1, 2, 3 places, and that's where my decimal goes. Okay, but here I'm stuck with this weird little gap between the decimal place and the 3, so that has to be filled with something. You can't just pick a number arbitrarily. It has to have no value. Okay, so that no value number that we're looking for, hopefully somebody already said it, is a 0. Okay, and then I put a 0 in front of the decimal as well. So my answer is 33 thousandths. Okay, 33 thousandths, and that's my answer. So that's it. That's as far as that first example is concerned. Let's look at one more example, and then this video is in the history books. So the next number is, let me get away from the red for right now, 0.25 times 0.2. Okay, I'm going to multiply these two numbers together. I actually like the 0.25 being on top in this case, so I'm going to leave it. 0.25 times 0.2. Once again, you'll notice my decimal places are not lined up. Sometimes they naturally line up. That's okay as well. Alright, so I multiply. 2 times 5 is 10. I carry my 1. 2 times 2 is 4. Plus 1 is 5. If you want to multiply 2 times 0, you can do that. And then if you want to go back and multiply by the 0 over here to the left, if you want to multiply by that, you can. But it's just going to put zeros below here. It will not change your answer. Okay? So my first factor, we count the decimal places. 1, 2. That means I have 2 decimal places in my first answer. Then I count 1, and not answer, but factor. I count 1 decimal place in the second factor. That means my answer in this particular problem is also going to have 3 decimal places. So I put 3 there. And then I start from the right, and I count to the left. 1, 2, 3. And that's where my answer goes. And I can go ahead and put a 0 in front. So the answer to 0.25 times 0.2, or actually 1/4 times 1/5, is going to give me 5 100ths. Okay, 5 100ths.